Come on in. Welcome to Jimmy on Clubhouse Instagram page. And this is a page I set up to replace my old show called Jimmy Rants. So I used to do this show on Instagram Live called Jimmy Rants and post them all over the place, put them up there and make them available. But then along came this brand new app called Clubhouse. It's been out there a few months. I joined about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And I absolutely love it. And if you can get on Clubhouse right now, it's only for iPhone users and for people that get an invitation. So right now it's pretty limited, which is why I created Jimmy on Clubhouse. So you guys that don't have the ability to get in there yet can see what's going on over there. And if you've been joining us all week, you know that I've been doing a 7-day water fasting challenge. And we're currently on day number 4 officially. I actually am just about to enter my 100th hour of fasting. I Am Strong, I Am Keto says, I'm trying to get on Clubhouse. I have an iPhone. So if that's you, you and anyone else listening to my voice, send me a DM. So here's what you need. You need somebody that's a friend that's already on the inside that has your phone number in their phone. And what happens is if they see that somebody gets put on the waiting list and they see that person is friends with someone that's in their phone, in other words, they'll see that your phone number's in my phone, for example, they will say, hey, we see one of your friends just signed up to be on the waiting list. Do you want to let them in? So why don't you DM me and I'll help you out there. Trust me, I've done it for dozens of people over the past week. But let's get this show on the road and we'll start talking about fasting. Coming in, guys, we're getting ready to start day number 4 of my 7-day water fasting challenge. And it's been a blast being here all week, being able to talk about fasting, trying to demystify it. I see Jennifer just got here and my friend Mary just got here. Lots of people here. Mary's going to come up and say, hey. Come on up, Mary. How you doing, sweetie?
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on 2 seconds.
Well, you know you want to talk to me, so that's what it was. What's up, Dax?
Hey, Jimmy. Here we are, day 4.
Here we are, man. Here I am, rocking like a hurricane. Sorry, I'm showing my age with that song. But yeah, guys, come on in. Make yourselves at home. Mary, did you want to say something?
It was an accident. I was listening to a podcast, and when I switched over, it was still playing. I'm out on a walk. But yes, hi.
Hi.
Hear all of this. I actually have been digging into your complete fasting guide again.
Thank you.
After about 1.5 years, getting back into really rethinking how I want to do things. So I'm excited to hear from you today, but I will pop myself back down.
Yes.
It was nice to say hi.
Yes, please come back up when we open it up for questions here in a minute. But Dax, yeah, it's been a quite the week. Thank you for being here all week. I'm not sure if Caitlin's going to be able to join us today or not. And I know there's a lot of fasting rooms now. Like literally Dr. Fung was just in a room that I saw you in. They pulled me up to the stage. Well, we see the co-author of the Complete Guide to Fasting came on the room. So they pulled me up and yeah, it's fun. But yeah, dude, we're at the part of the fast that's like the nirvana of all the misery of the first couple of days, 2-3 days. Now we're at the part of the fast that is like the pay dirt for all that effort.
Yes, that's true, Jimmy. But I do have one little bit of a, not an incident, but a little bit of an update.
Yeah.
And it's something that people who are fasting, particularly for the second time, kind of need to know this information. I felt great yesterday and going into the evening, and then about 2:00 in the morning, I woke up and I felt like I had arthritis throughout much of my body.
Yeah.
But because I know what's going on, I just let it ride, and about 4 hours later, all those symptoms subsided, and it reminded me that one thing that is interesting to talk about is a healing crisis when you're in a water fast.
Yes.
And you will have those when your body is releasing toxins from pockets of, from your lymph glands, from your fat tissues. as you release those toxins, they have to go through your body to be eliminated. So I believe I was having some type of a healing crisis, and
Yes.
I just kept drinking extra water through the night and managed to get through that just fine. And I'm back to feeling pretty darn good.
Yeah, I didn't have any kind of pain per se, although the gastrointestinal things are still kicking me in the butt, literally. And about 1 o'clock this morning, I had one of those, oh my God, I gotta go to the bathroom kind of moments. And I backed off on the salt significantly. In fact, I haven't really had a whole lot of salt since we talked about it disturbing my stomach and giving me a lot of the diarrhea. Now it's less than it was, but it's still there. So very intermittently, but when it happens in the middle of the night, there's nothing you can do but just go. And so I had to wake up, and that was no fun. So I've had a little bit of a messed up sleep last night. That's the first bad night of sleep that I've had since I started this fast.
Well, I've had 2 nights that were difficult, last night and then the second night. But other than that, I've slept pretty well. Some people really have trouble sleeping, and that's it makes you feel more tired. If you've got any aches and pains, it exacerbates that as well. But the key thing to remember is when you're going through those times where it's difficult, to just maintain your resolution that you're going to get through this and you're going to enjoy the benefits at the end. So you have to keep your eye on the prize at the end.
Yeah, and that's what got me through it. And I just decided to get up, and I can be very productive early in the morning anyway. And then I'll just go to bed somewhat early tonight and try to make it up. And that's the thing. Don't sweat anything that seems like a slip up. Oh no, I messed up my sleep. That's going to mess up my fasting. Oh no. And then like all that angst over it is what's going to actually mess up your fasting, not the thing that you think did.
Yeah, the stress, you can talk yourself into a great amount of stress in a fast.
Yes.
Just with the unusual feelings that you have, the times where your body is seemingly revolting. That's when you need to meditate, need to take a nice short walk, slow walk, take a bath, do something that is going to relax you and help you get through that little bit of a difficult time.
Yeah, I had a pretty stressful moment yesterday morning that made my stomach growl for 45 minutes in a row. And I was in bad shape. I didn't know I was going to be able to make it. But I'm like, you know what? I want to test if I can come back from this. Because being able to get resilient in the midst of a fast is like next level. And I did. I meditated. I did kind of some deep breathing. I went out in the sunshine, got some fresh air, hung out with my chickens for a while, and got peaceful, kind of cut out the noise. And that calmed me. So anytime you guys that you might get an overwhelming sense of urge, a craving, what you think is hunger, do some of these meditation, mindfulness types of practices in the sunlight, all the things, because it's going to help you get through that.
I do have one thing. As a friend of mine is also doing this fast, and she's 59 years old. She's done numerous fasts. In fact, she overcame a very difficult lower intestinal tract issue that they were even talking about surgery. She just immediately went on a 14-day fast, and at about day 10, all the symptoms of her issue went away. She fasted another 4 days and has not had a problem since. But she hasn't fasted in a couple of years, and she's currently same place I am on day 4, and she's having some heart palpitations, accelerated heart rate. She's a little bit worried about that. She hasn't had that experience before. But what is your experience with that, Jimmy?
Yeah, I personally don't get the heart palpitations. I hear people talk about that, so I'm sure it's a thing. But I personally have never had. I've had on previous fasts a little bit, but this one here, I haven't had any incidences of that. So yeah, I don't have to deal with that. But I do know why it would feel freaky. Especially if you have like a history of heart disease in your family, or you've been told you have high cholesterol. People will then go, oh no, am I damaging my heart from this? But those little flutters, they do tend to happen for some people.
Well, I mentioned to her that I've had some increased heart rate at times due to what I believe, and from what I've studied, I believe are a healing crisis. And you're probably familiar with that term,
Yep.
I'm sure.
Yep.
But as you fast, your body will go into what's called a healing crisis in the middle of a fast at times. And what it is doing is your body is going back through, whether it's illnesses or whether it's toxins that it's pocketed away, and as it unravels the damage that's been done by whatever was ailing you, it will do that in the reverse order in which you got it. So if you had like a bacterial infection 5 months ago, and then you had a knee joint injury 10 months ago, it will heal those things in the reverse order, starting with the most recent one. And oftentimes when you are, and particularly releasing toxins, you're going to find that, at least I will have a slightly accelerated heart rate. I've never worried about it. Whenever I have any type of situation like that, Jimmy, I just drink more water.
Yeah. I mean, water or salt are kind of your options when you're in this thing, other than breathing fresh air and sunshine and all the things. And there's Dr. Caitlin. Hello, Caitlin. What's up?
Hello. Sorry, business call ran a little late.
No worries. I'm just grateful for your expertise. Dax and I were just jibber-jabbering about some of the day 4 things. And why don't you ask Caitlin that question, Dax, that you just asked me about the heart murmurs?
Absolutely. Dr. Caitlin, thank you for joining us. And I really appreciate you being here, because I have a question specifically for you. You were talking the other day about the hormone changes and whether a person is menstruating, or whether they are premenopausal or in full menopause. I have a friend, I was just telling Jimmy, that she's 59. She's in full menopause, has been for a number of years. She's always stayed thin, so fasting, has never been for a weight loss situation. But she's in the middle of this fast that we're all doing, and she's in day 4 as well. But she's experiencing a lot of rapid heart rate, and it's a little disturbing to her. She's fasted a number of times in the past, very successfully. I was going to ask you, is there any based on what you said the other day, you mentioned there are specific times for women who are menstruating to fast that are better than others. Is there any such timing issue for women who are in menopause?
Not as much, because they're not having as big of ebbs and flows with estrogen and progesterone production. The big thing for postmenopausal women that they have to be cognizant of is the number of times and the frequency that they're doing these longer fasts. So I don't want to say it's like men, because they still have to support progesterone production and estrogen elimination and estrogen support, but they can do it more similarly to how men can, because there's a lack of huge fluctuations in hormones. Now, with that being said, she really needs to look at what else is going on with her now versus the other times that she did it. So is she under a more stressful situation? Is she doing something differently? Did she do something differently up until this point? And then the other thing I would say is, like, when's the last time she had labs done? So there's a few things that I would have her look into to see, okay, what could potentially be going on. But the first thing is, okay, how is this fast different? Is she in a stressful situation? Is her sleep lacking? Was she in a stressful situation prior to this? Had she been doing really low carb up to this fast for, a few months? Like, there's a lot of things that could be contributing to the heart palpitations.
Well, the only thing I can think of that she's doing differently this time is she is working. She normally takes a week or 10 days off when which wraps around a fasting time, and she does have a very stressful job. So that might be the case. The question she had for you was, do you think if the rapid heart rate continues, should she break the fast?
I think it goes back to what we talked about. I don't remember, Jimmy, if it was like day 1 or day 2 when we were talking about, the heart rate. And I think you actually mentioned it, Dax, is she just being more aware of her body function, like her breath and her heart rate and her pulse, because she's fasting? Or is this something that is there all the time and it's very noticeable? Because if it's the latter, then yes, I think she should break her fast, because there's something else underlying going on, and now's just not the right time, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, she's had some very lightheaded moments where she felt like if she stood up, and she said it's kind of like she had some dark rings around her vision and some difficulty, standing up and walking. But so she's tried to stay seated most of the time. I suggested to her that she probably break the fast, and maybe this wasn't a good time for her to fast.
Yeah. Has she checked her blood pressure?
I don't know if she has or not. I would have to ask her that question. But if her blood pressure is too low, then she always tends to have a normal to a little bit lower than normal blood pressure. That's a very good point you make.
Yeah, I would look at blood pressure. And then the other thing I would, because when people tell me that they get lightheaded going from like either laying down to seated to standing, it tells me either blood pressure and or adrenals. So one thing everybody can do is they can take their blood pressure when they lay down, and then go to standing and take their blood pressure again and see what it is. If it drops substantially, it could be an adrenal dysfunction at that time. So the adrenal glands are just overly taxed and they're not able to handle the stressors. And then the other thing it could be is when the adrenals are taxed, it could also be a mineral imbalance or a mineral deficiency. So that's definitely something I would have her do. But if she's really feeling really off, then yeah, there's no shame in breaking it early. No problem whatsoever. And then see if that helps. And if it doesn't help, then yes, absolutely, she needs to go and get checked out.
That's great. Dr. Caitlin, I really appreciate that information, and I'll share that with her and see how she wants to proceed. But that's really thorough, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
And that lesson is true for everyone, by the way, in this room. If at any point you don't feel right and you might have worked through some hunger things, but things persist, end the fast. Don't be the hero. Like, there's no shame in ending the fast. I did it the last time I led a corporate 7-day fast. Try being a person leading a 7-day fast and you only make it 30 hours. So trust me, I understand. Guys, you're in the Keto for the Soul room. Go click on that little house at the very top. Subscribe to this room. I hang out in this room all day. I love Keto for the Soul. Definitely come back. Lots of great moderators and great rooms all over the place here. So definitely go check that out. And everybody up on stage, Dax, Dr. Caitlin, myself, we all have a lot of experience with fasting. I see lots of people raising their hands now, wanting to come up to the stage. So please, if you have a question about fasting, we are in day number 4 of this 7-day period. Wow, everybody and their mama wants to come on the stage today, you guys. I'm trying to keep up with them as they're coming in, but thank you guys for being here. Day 4, Caitlin, I was talking to Dax before you got here. This is the day when people go, oh my gosh, how am I so energetic? How am I so cognizant? I did a podcast this morning with someone in the 90-something. I just crossed 100 hours of fasting. And she was shocked. She's like, wait a minute. You've been fasting for 90-something hours? How are you so lucid? How do you have so much energy? How? Can you explain why there is this magicalness that happens, especially by day 4?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you used the word magical, because I was just thinking day 4 is magic. It is such a magical feeling when you get to day 4. And the reason that is your body is not only producing more ketones, but your body is more effectively utilizing those ketones. And really, it's that utilization. So I'll have clients who they're checking their blood sugar and their ketones are relatively high, yet they still don't feel great. They're still having, the brain fog and the fatigue. And it's because their body's just not utilizing those ketones that they're making. So this is when your body's utilizing them. It's going to the brain. You're thinking clearer. It's amazing. It's magical, just like you said, Jimmy.
Yeah, and I'm in that euphoria that Dax was talking about yesterday. It hit me big time today, Dax, where that euphoria kicked in. And yeah, I've been energetic despite the kind of crappy night's sleep. I was saying, Caitlin, that some of the gastrointestinal things are still rearing their ugly head even as I backed off on the salt. So that's kind of normalized. It's not as bad, but when it hits, you better go or you got problems. So, but that euphoria has definitely hit in hard.
Yeah, I started feeling that when I went to bed last night. As I mentioned, Dr. Caitlin, you weren't here at the time, but I mentioned that about 2 o'clock in the morning, I had some severe pain in all my joints. It was as if I had gotten arthritis all of a sudden. And I just drank about 2 quarts of water over the next hour. And about 3 hours later, that all subsided, and it was as if it never happened. And I've been enjoying the fourth day high ever since, mentally and physically.
You bring up a really good point, Dax. Sometimes around, day 3, day 4, we start feeling old injuries. And the reason we can start feeling old injuries like pain in our ankles or our neck or elbow or whatever it may be is because we have this massive surge of stem cells that our body's producing. And those stem cells are literally running to those areas that need to be, replaced and healed. And so this is an amazing way to heal some of those old, lingering injuries that we've had. That have been giving us problems for a while. So it's not necessarily a bad thing, but that just prompted me to say that real quick.
And that is so interesting because my left knee has been so sore since day 2 of this fast. And I'm like, but now that makes sense. So thank you for elucidating on that, Caitlin.
Hey, Caitlin, one more thing. You might touch on, because I'm sure you're very knowledgeable about this as well, and some of the other panelists that I see up here might want to say something about this. But over the fast I've had over the many years, I will experience a healing crisis during the fast, and at which time whether I had a bacterial infection or I had an injury, as you spoke of, I'll go back. My body will seem to go back chronologically, most recent to most past, and start fixing things that I had problems with prior.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's, truthfully, this is why I do longer fast. It is not for the weight loss. It is for this deeper healing that you get with water fasting. So it's absolutely amazing. And the crazy part is, every time I've done a longer fast, I don't get the same achy knee or, achy clavicle that I broke or whatever it may be. It always kind of changes and shifts based on what needs a little extra healing at that time. Have you noticed that, Jimmy?
Yes, it moves around. So I have sciatica pain on the lower right-hand side, currently not hurting because the left knee is hurting so bad. So maybe the pain, it's the degree of pain that exhibits itself at the time. But yeah, it's amazing. It does move around, but that's cool. If healing's happening, that's motivation to, hey, when it's time to fast again, let's do it again.
If I could interject, I'd say that's
Sure.
a testament to the body knows where to go, where it needs the healing, the right place at the right time. We just need to give it the right condition.
Lindsey, you're so right. That's exactly right. Rebecca, did you have something to say?
I was clapping. I'm just a really slow clapper with the I'm like, oh crap, I gotta turn it back off.
Yeah,
I already have it undone. I think it actually can go off of it. I was kind of going off of the question Dax was also asking Dr. Caitlin if he knew that if his friends were on any medications. Do you know if she's on any medications?
No, she's actually very anti-medication. She hasn't been on any medications in many years. So, and she's never taken hormone replacement therapy or anything like that, or treatment before. So no, she eats a healthy diet. She exercises regularly. She's very slim, always has been, but she's fasted successfully before and overcome some significant issues with fasting. But this particular time, she's just wondering why she's having so much difficulty with this fast.
Yeah, so the one thing I agreed with everything that Dr. Caitlin said, but the really cool thing about this conversation is how, like, each time you fast, and by the way, I had to look 64 hours here, Jimmy, you convinced me to do it. I wasn't going to do it, and then I saw your post, and I'm like, all right, I need to do this. So I'm on 64 hours and 40 minutes and 17 seconds.
Oh, are we counting it to that meticulousness, Rebecca? Are we hurting?
No, I pull up the app. Listen, I use that Zero app because I'm like,
yes.
I just need to see the time tick away.
Yes.
It's encouraging to me. But one thing I do find is that there could be some underlying thyroid stuff that she's also healing from. There might be some like old cells that she's getting out within the thyroid, but that I just, like what Dr. Caitlin said, making sure she gets some lab work done, because each fast is different. And I've seen, like, I'll get women when they start fasting to do like 3 or 4, especially like with good refeeding in between. But it's usually around like the 3rd or the 4th where I'm just like, for them, like, I see some things pop up where the body's trying to heal. And it might be something that she's trying to heal with her thyroid. So it's worth checking that out. Doesn't mean that her thyroid is becoming hyper, but that she's pushing some stuff out. Reverse T3, which, just, reverse T3 goes up under stress, which she said she had stress. So her reverse T3 may have gone up, which is stored up thyroid hormones. And on this fast, the body was like, okay, let me just dump this all out. I can reset myself. So that's worth looking into as well. But thanks for doing this, guys. Like, 64 hours. I'm right along there with you guys.
You go, girl.
Thanks, Dr. Rebecca. Appreciate that information. I'll pass that along with Dr. Caitlin's. Thank you.
So I wanted to give a shout out to my buds over on Instagram, the Jimmy on Clubhouse Instagram page. For all the people that can't be on Clubhouse, Jimmy's like, all right, how can we let them see what we do here on Clubhouse? So I created Jimmy on Clubhouse over on Instagram. Literally, we're live right now. Hey guys, what's going on? Norma says 88 hours in. I had a bad evening last night. If it wasn't going to be better by this morning, I was going to stop. But so far, so good. I feel good today. Let's go. So way to go, Norma. Kat says, can't explain just how much I absolutely am loving this fast. Yeah, you've been here every day, and I know she's a fasting champion. She was talking about fasting 3 years ago. She's all over this. Marcus says, I had pretty significant arthritic hip pain yesterday. I thought it was a toxin release. I get the same thing when I drink too much alcohol. I finally caved and took some Motrin, and I now feel better. I suppose NSAIDs, if it's too much, some of this pain, Caitlin, or any of the other medical professionals, is that okay to take an NSAID during a fast like this?
I would be cognizant, just because you have nothing in your system as to how it's going to react to you. So I can't answer that because of my credentials, but I would just be cognizant, just because you don't have much in your system, and by much, like, you only have water and salt for the most part. So figuring out, okay, what is this? Is this an old injury? Is it healing? Because sometimes, when we're like, okay, this is actually a good pain, like, it means my body's healing, it takes that edge off. The other thing you can do is you can use external, like, creams, things like that. So like an arnica would be a really nice thing to rub on, or like a peppermint, something that will just take that extra edge off. But if it's something that is like excruciating, honestly, I would probably break the fast before I personally would take an NSAID.
Well, and CBD oil is also very powerful for that purpose too. Rebecca?
I was clapping. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're clapping again. See, you look like you're unmuting yourself, so I'm like, I'm going to let her talk.
I'm still feeling like a doobie with this. No, I'm like, I agree. agreeing with Dr. Kate. I would break my fast too.
Yes.
But, okay, I'll do it faster.
I'm so glad, Dr. Rebecca, it's not just me. Sometimes I feel like I have either like my thumbs aren't working or my phone's not responding, so you're not alone.
Yes. At least you don't leave quietly. I've had many people trying to clap and then they leave quietly. Oh, I got to bring you back. So S. Dalel over on Instagram, 90 hours in now. I'm trying to get past my best of all-time high was 120 hours. So that's just 30 more hours, Dalel. Go get it. Go get it. I love Instagram is enthusiastic. And you guys, if you're in this room on Clubhouse, definitely hit the hand if you're doing this fast with us. We want to hear how you're doing. Definitely any questions that you have. We are on day number 4. We got 3 more days after today, you guys, that we're going to be here at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time. So please come back for more support. But let's go to Kim. What you got for us, Kim?
Okay, I'm 92 hours in.
Woohoo!
The euphoria part it's been there since like day 2. And no cheats, no thoughts of food. I feel that energetic thing of if I never ate food again, I'd be okay.
Yep.
Kind of feeling. But, and I shared this with Jimmy earlier, how in God's name have I gained a pound and woke up this morning with my fingers, like my rings tight? Is my body broken?
No, not at all. So sometimes what can happen is as you're going through this deeper healing, it might need a little more support. So with detoxing, it might need a little more support clearing. So that's normally what I think when we start retaining water or swelling later on in the fast. It just tells me that there's a level a little deeper that needs a little extra love and support.
Time, love, and tenderness, Kim.
Can I also...
Yeah, go ahead, Rebecca.
I'm doing tinctures and zeolite to help with the detoxing that my doctor gave me, that my holistic doctor gave me. And yeah, I'm just like shocked that I gained a pound this morning.
Rebecca?
Well, the one thing I do love about fasting is that in the absence of food, the body's able to do what it's been needing to do.
Yes.
So I think a lot of times we don't understand, and a lot of the symptoms that we're used to on a day-to-day basis that may be seen as bad is actually the body's innate ability of healing. So you might be retaining, but it might be because your body's clearing out. It might be that your vessels are needing to dilate. It might be that your swelling can clear out different areas throughout your body, and it doesn't mean that it's going to stay like that. But I just want to encourage people that the body does the right thing at the right time, and that's why it's so amazing to fast. It's because you get to see the body do it. We may not be able to understand the healing process, but we know the body heals when fasting. So I want to say, don't be discouraged, because you might, next thing you know, maybe tomorrow you're going to lose like 3 pounds, and you're going to be like, how did I gain 1 and then lose 3? Well, I can't tell you why, but your body's smart.
And Kim, it's always good to remind yourself that all of these things we use to measure are just tools. So a scale falls in that same category. And I remember interviewing Dr. Steve Finney one time, and he said, your weight can fluctuate in a 5 pound kind of radius. So a 1 pound, quote, weight gain isn't really, it's nothing. It's like it's the same as not gaining any. So I'd be shocked, like Rebecca said, I'd be shocked if you didn't see a whoosh, as they say in the diet world, that you see a sudden drop in weight. Your weight didn't really drop that much. It's just that this little machine isn't giving you the feedback that you're looking for. So,
Dr. Catherine, do you have something?
Yeah, in this case, when you have a bit of fluid retention, especially if you're feeling like some stiffness in your joints or in your hands, and I would think that you're retaining fluid, and the body sometimes retains fluid when it's dehydrated. So
yes.
I would really push hydration, salt, and for some people who fast, their uric acid levels go up, and that can be a bit of an insult to the kidney, so it just needs more preload or hydration. So I would just really drink more water, make sure you have good urine output, and keep an eye on it. But I expect you probably, once you hydrate a bit more, your kidneys will release a little more, and that water weight will come right off.
Yeah, I'm urinating like a madman. And like with that. And I'm also looking at, the beliefs that are coming up around it too, of, control and surrender and letting go, and seeing, as I meditate too, if I work on the beliefs and look at the beliefs that are coming up, if maybe that helps everything too. But I'm not having joint pain. Just noticed a little bit in my fingers, and I actually did an hour of Pilates today and felt great. So,
where are you in your cycle?
I had a hysterectomy about 4.5 years ago. So I do bioidentical hormones. I take Biest and twice a day, and progesterone once a day.
Okay. Sometimes you might just be retaining a little bit too, from a little bit of fluid shift from the hormones shifting too. So it should
I had
come
a
off.
total.
Sometimes I go up on the progesterone if I see a little fluid retention.
Oh, that's a good idea.
What'd you say,
Yeah,
Brianna?
diuretic.
Brianna, did you say something?
I do have a question. That kind of leads into my question.
Okay.
The fasting.
Sure.
So first of all, thank you guys so much for bringing up the pain situation. Because the last time I fasted, around 48 to 72 hours, I was in so much pain. And I looked on the internet. There wasn't much on there. So I'm so grateful that you guys mentioned that. My question was in regards to taking like your supplements. Like I take sea kelp for my thyroid, and I wanted to know if that's something that you should continue while you're water fasting.
So we've generally covered supplements every single day on these fasting updates. So
I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, you haven't been here every day. By the way, these are all on replay on IGTV over at Jimmy on Clubhouse, as well as YouTube. Just look up Jimmy on Clubhouse. You can see the replay of the previous days. But in general, what we were saying about supplements, not necessarily the one you're taking, is you're gonna not necessarily need to take those when you're fasting, because it's like being surgery on your knee. You're not gonna go to the gym and work out your legs when you've got a surgery on your knee and trying to recover. Think of this as recovery in much the same way. So you don't necessarily have to take your supplements. Now, you have a unique one that I definitely would love to hear the medical professionals up here address. She takes a thyroid supplement. What is the supplement?
It's sea kelp.
Okay. And so that's all you take for what, hypothyroidism?
Yes. So you have diagnosed hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's?
I don't have diagnosed, but I have it diagnosed by a chiropractic holistic doctor, but not by an MD doctor.
I wouldn't see it. Sea kelp is just providing a natural form of iodine, which you're taking it to hopefully, like you're taking it to support your thyroid. But again, remember, the whole point of fasting is to help your body heal. Unless it's an actual thing that you're taking where it's giving you the hormones, I don't think it's necessary. Of course, everybody is different. Talk with your practitioner. But since it's just providing iodine for you, it doesn't seem like it's absolutely necessary during the fast.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I second what Dr. Rebecca said, what she said. If it was a prescribed medication or glandular, yes, absolutely. But additional supplements, honestly, it depends what your goal is, and it always comes back to why are you fasting, what are your goals. But for me, when I'm fasting and when I have my clients fast, I'm wanting the body to reset, and I'm wanting it to do it based off of its innate intelligence, like what it needs. And so whenever we add a whole bunch of additional supplements and things, we're taking away from what the body is going to need to do in order to cleanse and rebalance and reset. So that's how I approach fasting.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
But I would like to add a disclaimer if anybody is listening to this, that if you are dependent, two different disclaimers, if you are dependent on either a glandular or a medication to provide hormones, that would be completely different. Like Dr. Caitlin said, that's something you would need to be on to make sure you're being supported hormonally and metabolically. But the second thing to understand about that is that fasting does increase hormone receptors, and fasting does change your gut microbiome. So what that means is that it can happen your first fast, it can happen your fifth fast, that you might automatically be on the same dose that you've always been on, they'll automatically be on too much because of how your body has healed and changed. In that situation, if you do experience like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I have hyper symptoms, I do utilize some magnesium to help the body calm itself. And if you have a prescribing doctor, you get a hold of them right away to see if you can cut back on that.
That is such a good point, Rebecca, that people don't realize. It's kind of like when you go keto from the standard American diet, it's a radical shift. Same from going to keto to fasting. Like, you don't realize it's a different beast. Everything about your body is different in a fasted state than it is in a fed state.
Well, and that actually brings me back to Kim's question about, when you're taking all of these hormones, even though they're bioidentical, when you're fasting, just like what Dr. Rebecca said, your body is now able to utilize these hormones far more efficiently than it was before, because you're literally down-regulating inflammation, you're down-regulating your inflammatory response by having lower insulin levels. Like, there's so many things that are happening. And so being cognizant of any medications you're taking, and literally just be talking with your prescribing doctor so that they can best help you through this.
Kim, does that help?
It totally does. And I'm actually going back, just because I'm going to be back in California next week. And on Monday, I'm keeping the fast up until Monday, until I go and see my energy medicine holistic doctor, so he can test everything in the fasted state to see how everything shifted. So it's going to be a cool look at it all.
Yeah. Well, we wish you well. Jennifer, you're up next. How you doing on your fast, sweetie?
There we go. Well, I had an extremely difficult day yesterday, much like your friend Dax's friend, to the point where I did end up breaking the fast last night at 72 hours. I was having racing heart all day. I was extremely lightheaded and dizzy. I tried to take a little walk out and get some sunshine, and I couldn't make it 100 yards. I had to come back. And I had extreme muscle fatigue, and I just to the point where I just was like, gosh,
yeah,
I think my body's trying to tell me something here. And so I had some chicken broth, and I feel much better today, but I feel like I made a mistake coming up to high altitude during this fast.
Yes.
And I have a strong feeling that my body was just overwhelmed. I was also getting hot flashes at the same time. It was like it felt like every alarm bell in my body was kind of going off. And I don't know. I felt like maybe the altitude while fasting, I'm at a family cabin at 7,000 feet. I just had a feeling that maybe that was a really bad idea, and that I'd like to try it again and not at altitude.
Well, check this out. 2 days ago, you were on here, and you wanted to give up then, and you made it to 72 hours. What was the longest you'd ever done before this one?
24 hours.
So you tripled your all-time high. I know you sound a little despondent in your voice. I want you to be proud of yourself. 72 hours. You now have proven to yourself, I can make it 3 days on a fast. That's a big deal. And then use that to motivate the next time. I'm curious about this altitude thing with anybody on the stage. I know, Caitlin, you kind of addressed it. Go ahead, Catherine.
Oh, no, that's a major stressor on the body to go to altitude. Your respiratory rate goes up, your metabolism goes up, the demand and dehydration is a major factor. So I would certainly stay at sea level when you're fasting, and keep in mind that that's a major stressor metabolically to jump to 7,000 feet.
Without fasting.
Yeah, I was drinking a lot of water. I laid down and I slept for like an hour and a half, and I got up and I was still just having like you described your friend Dax, I was having, circles in my vision, extreme lightheadedness. I just couldn't seem to work my way through it, even with resting a good portion of the day. And I just finally, I was feeling just super shaky, and it came in my mind what you said yesterday, Dr. Caitlin, is that sometimes it may be just a too stressful time for your body. And that was how I felt kind of in my heart. I felt like, I think I'm trying to do too much here, going to altitude and fasting. So anyhow, that's what I did. I had some chicken broth at about 72 hours, and then I had a little bit of grass-fed burger last night. And this morning I feel much better. So I am really disappointed that I broke the fast. I have to admit, I really wanted to get through it, but I just
don't do that to yourself. Yeah, we talked about that. Lindsay, did you have something you wanted to say?
I was saying, Jennifer, I applaud you, and I've been where you've been, where I set a goal, and then my body has a different intention, and it says, hey, the exact same thing. I said I was going to do a 5-day fast, and I made it to 72 hours, and my body, and it's like this internal struggle where you want to keep going, and then your body's like, nope, I'm in charge here, and I'm gently whispering to you that we're done. And so you totally made the right decision. I want you to never second guess that. And that's part of this exercise, is really getting in touch with our body and what it really truly needs with ourselves. So you're doing amazing, and I just applaud you, and we all do.
I wanted to jump in here too, because I don't think anyone ever fails. Like, if you say you're going to do a 24-hour, you can do a 12-hour, you still see amazing benefits. And I want to share this for you, Jennifer, because I want you, once I say this, I want you to let me know if that feels like a failure. Because you made it to 72 hours, we already know that you elicited a really good, strong autophagy response. So we know that the body had already started and was doing it efficiently, was cleaning out the cells. We know by 72 hours, you created stem cells. So this is brand new cells to take over. I mean, that starts around day 2, actually. So the fact that you went through day 2 and day 3, you already had this stem cell boost that went in to replace old damaged cells that needed to leave the body. So AKA, you started to fight and prevent cancer on this fast. You've reset epigenetics. At a genetic level, we know by day 2 into day 3, you're already starting to change how your DNA is being transcribed. And by day 2 into day 3, you see changes in your gut microbiome. You literally changed your body, and you're being hard on yourself, even though the fact that you listen to your body is even more healing than had you just, sucked it up and pushed through. I don't think any of those things were failures. I think you should be really proud of yourself, because you literally changed your body in those 3 days.
Other than that, you saw no benefit.
And you probably would have kept going if you didn't go to altitude. So it just wasn't the right timing for you.
And
you did amazing.
And see, this is such a good point too, because when I've been deep into a fast, when I was doing a 21-day fast, when I was writing the Complete Guide to Fasting, on day 17, I had to go drive to be with some friends for a vacation. And it messed me up. I had all those same symptoms that you talked about, Jennifer, and sometimes just stress. We don't put enough emphasis on what that stress is doing to us. So I hope you're encouraged, Jennifer. You have done a wonderful job. 3 days means you get to fast again in a few weeks if you want to.
Yeah, I definitely want to try it again. I'll wait. That's a good question, actually, for your panel, is how long should I wait to try again? And autophagy was a major goal of mine. Not to talk too much, but as a kid, I had scoliosis. I had lots of high-dose x-rays as a teenager. And so I'm concerned about cancer, and autophagy is definitely one of my major goals. So how long should I wait before trying again?
Yeah, we brought this up. Go ahead, Caitlin.
No, I had a hysterectomy about 7 years ago, just uterine hysterectomy. I still have ovaries, but no, so I'm not menstruating.
Okay, and would you, if you hadn't had a hysterectomy, would you fall in like the perimenopause like range right now?
Probably. I'm 52, so I do experience hot flashes sometimes under stress. And I notice if I have alcohol, if I have one too many glasses of alcohol, I will experience hot flashes. That's always a good sign for me that I overdid it. So if that helps.
So this is what I typically tell my like menopausal, postmenopausal women. Start following the lunar cycle. It just makes it easier to track when to fast and how often to fast. So use the new moon as like day one of a bleed, and then use the full moon as ovulation. And so what I would recommend is go through essentially an entire quote unquote menstrual cycle before doing this again. And then try and do the longer fast between the new moon and the full moon. I find, and what my clients have told me, is it's so much easier for them to do the longer fast when they're following the lunar cycle. So that would be my recommendation.
And yeah, I wanted to add there, if you have a hysterectomy and you still have your ovaries, it is very 100% possible that you're still ovulating without bleeding. So it's still really good to work with your body and the ebbs and flow of those hormones, like Dr. Caitlin said. Just because you had your uterus taken away doesn't mean you're not having those hormonal ebbs and flows that you should work with when fasting and restricting or, using ketosis.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I hadn't heard that about following the lunar cycle, so I'll try that.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Keep me posted. Let me know how it goes.
Yeah, Jennifer's been here every day. We appreciate you being here during this fast. And once again, congratulations on your longest fast. That is amazing. Brian, you're up next. You're also long time fasting. Are you still fasting, Brian?
Yes, I am. How are you, Jimmy?
Good, buddy. What you got?
Good to hear from you. And hi, Dax. Hi, Dr. Caitlin. Hi, Dr. Rebecca. So Jimmy, I sent you a text this morning.
Yep.
And I was a little concerned. So what happened was I checked my blood sugar and my ketone level, and the ketone level it registered high on my machine. And at first I thought, oh, my machine is being friendly to me, saying hi. But I was looking at the manual, and it said that it registers high if it's over 8, my ketones. So
what's the meter? Is it Keto Mojo?
Yeah, Keto Mojo. Yeah.
And so you had over 8, and your blood sugar?
Blood sugar this morning was. Let me just double check here. Let's see. Blood sugar this morning was 49.
And you had a lower blood sugar and higher ketone yesterday, right?
Yeah, I did. And I just checked it again before I jumped on here, and the ketone again was friendly and said hi, and my glucose was 46. And yesterday or last night before I went to bed, I checked, my glucose went down to 40. So I've never had a reading that low before, but I feel great. So I'm not gonna miss anything here with this. I mean, things are going well.
Yeah, the medical professionals, I'd love to hear what they have to say.
Well, the fact that you feel great, that's awesome. Like, that's absolutely amazing. What I typically teach the general public is if they're not fat adapted and their blood sugars are in the 40s and they don't feel great, they need to break their fast.
Yes.
And so, the fact that you feel amazing, your ketones are going really high, and you're utilizing the ketones, obviously, that's amazing. Like, kudos to you. You're super fat adaptive.
Well, and it makes sense, too, because when your ketones go higher, those ketones are now stepping in the place of where the glucose was. So you don't need a lot of glucose because you've now replaced that glucose as a fuel source with those ketone bodies. So when you see a commensurate, when it says hi to you, Brian, a commensurate rise in your ketone levels, that's a very good sign that you have the lower blood sugar. People freak out from both. Oh my gosh, I'm in hypoglycemia because just of the number. Oh my gosh, I'm going to get in ketoacidosis because I have ketones that measure high. It's not happening because you're feeling good. You would feel it if you were in a state of ketoacidosis.
Right. And one thing I wanted also to kind of add on to what was talked about already, my legs are very stiff. I noticed that last night. I had a crappy night's sleep last night, and I feel like I have to keep stretching, because everything is just kind of cramping up. I'm doing well with the water intake and the salt intake, but just wanted to kind of share that as well.
Yeah, you're getting old. That's what it is.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Just kidding. But it might be some of what Caitlin was talking about, that, there's some of that internal healing going on. And so, yeah, my left knee, it's killing me right now. So.
Well, thank you for having me on, and I just wanted to share. So,
and Brian, you've gone how long now?
Well, gosh, that was, I think I started I did start on Sunday at 7 p.m.
Yeah.
And so whatever that is.
You're in the 90s, 80s, 90s. So what was the longest you did before that?
36 hours.
So look at this guy. He's already triple, and he's still going. His longest fast ever. Guys, are you hearing this? Like, if you think I've never fasted more than 12 hours, make it 36. We've proven people on the stage today can easily go a lot longer than they thought. Brian, I'm going to be rooting for you, brother.
I appreciate that. And I'll tell you something, no hunger, zero. So
yeah.
Pushing on.
Hey, Brian, can I mention one thing? You start in an hour Sunday of when I started. And as I mentioned early in the program today, that last night about 2 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I felt like I had arthritis throughout my whole body. I could barely move. I had to stretch just to get out of bed and go to the bathroom. I doubled up on my water during that period of time, and within about little over 4 hours, those symptoms started to subside, and within probably 6 hours total, I was back to feeling awesome again. So it could be that your body, as Dr. Caitlin mentioned earlier, it could be your body is dealing with some old injuries, repairing some issues that you had in your tissues. So I wouldn't be overly concerned with that, especially since you feel so good.
Or what Jimmy said, I'm just getting old.
Well, you are a pharmacist, so you know the good drugs to put on. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And by the way, I also want to say that I forgot who the person was who was talking about and says, be really careful with that, but there's nothing in the system because of the possibility of the stomach bleed on an empty stomach. So I just wanted to point that out as well. But I'm keep going strong. So thank you again for having me on.
Keep it up, Brian. Desiree, you're up next.
Thanks for allowing me to join.
Sure.
I am in this room late, and so I didn't hear the beginning conversation, and I'm not currently doing a fast, but I'm very intrigued with everything that you're saying. My husband has been doing 5 to 7 day water fasts for many, many years, and I am interested in wondering, I have some questions. Because I feel increasingly fatigued, I'm also hypothyroid, diagnosed with Hashimoto's. I'm 65. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis of the hip and osteopenia in the spine. I practice yoga every day, and we try to eat healthy otherwise, but I'm wondering, is it too late to start fasting? How should I start fasting if I do? Am I able to do a 7-day water fast? I'm thin as it is, so I'm worried about losing weight and messing up the balance that I have currently.
Yeah.
Any ideas?
You're in the right place because we have a thyroid hormone expert in Dr. Rebecca. What you got for us, Rebecca?
Yeah, I want to talk about Hashimoto's and what that means and why fasting would be so beautiful if done the right way. So number one, Hashimoto's is an active autoimmune reaction against your thyroid. The problem is that just because you get the diagnosis of Hashimoto's, that doesn't mean anything. And if you're on a medication for it, it means that you're just taking hormones now while having an active autoimmune reaction. That being said, there is a connection with low thyroid hormone and low like bone activity. So if you have Hashimoto's and you have these antibodies, there is that connection as to why now you're losing, you're having bone loss. A beautiful thing that'll happen when it's about a bit deeper into the fast, so we're looking at more between day 3 to day 5, is that you see that the body innately will start to kill off old memory cells within the immune system. Why that matters is because memory cells is what, in our immune system, is what helps us fight off things. So, you get measles when you're younger. Now, for the rest of your life, you have these antibodies that can protect you against things like blood cancers. It's a beautiful thing. But when the immune system becomes dysfunctional because of underlying toxicity or gut issues, which is connected with Hashimoto's, now you have these cells that are remembering over and over again to attack your thyroid. So when you utilize fasting, you get to retrain your immune system by throwing out some of these old immune cells and creating new, younger immune cells, which means coupling fasting with going under and finding the cause of your Hashimoto's, like utilizing fasting and then detoxing, or utilizing fasting, which also helps the gut microbiome, it resets the gut microbiome, is actually a really great way to start addressing the Hashimoto's than just covering up the symptoms. And the last thing I'll say is that you will have to be aware, and I mentioned this earlier, if you're on thyroid medication, which it sounds like you are, that there could be some amazing changes while on it, while fasting, that you might need less and less. That's a really amazing thing. Depending on how long you've had Hashimoto's or a thyroid disorder, you might need some type of support for the rest of your life, depending on how long the doctor let you go, with being untreated. But the cool thing is with fasting and utilizing ketosis, you can be on the lowest dose that you've ever been on.
Okay. And so there's no issues at starting this at age 65, per se.
This is for any age.
I was going to say really quick, I fasted a woman in my office. She wanted to do it. She did it because she wanted to address her pain. 82 years old.
Yep.
Wow.
She lost maybe like a pound or two, which when the refeeding period, when we upped her good fat, it came back on. The only thing she experienced being cold, but she said it was the best she had felt in decades. Obviously, I walked alongside with her, but she was 82. I think we have a picture we need to share of her.
A 7-day fast?
She did a 5-day.
5-day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I touch on the fasting and weight loss
Please.
real fast for people who are of like a healthy weight and they don't want to lose weight?
Yes, perfect.
That's where I'm at. I don't fast to lose weight, and truthfully, when I do an extended water fast, like 5 days, 7 days, I might lose a total of like 2-3 pounds. But just like Dr. Rebecca said, I put that right back on when I refeed the right way. So I might lose like a total of a pound, but it's a pound of garbage. It's not a pound of muscle. It's not a pound of, like healthy tissue. That pound is like dead cells. That pound is like cleaning out my colon. That pound is coming from things that are just not useful for me anymore. So those that are, and again, not medical advice, not telling somebody who's like underweight to fast, not doing any of that. But fasting is not just a means of weight loss. And I really, really, really hope people are starting to understand that.
So, Caitlin, you got me curious now. How much does all that, like dead proteins and things that autophagy is cleaning up, how much does that weigh? Obviously, it's going to be person to person depending on how much junk is in there. But what's the maximum it could be?
Oh, I have no idea. But
Probably no way to quantify it.
Yeah, I don't even think research has looked into that. But I do know that we typically store, the average person has 5 pounds of fecal matter stored in their digestive tract that isn't being removed ultimately. So, you get your gut working better and you clean that out. That alone massive, because you're not retoxifying, you're cleaning it out, your gut's going to be able to function better. So, yeah.
And we know the microbiome also weighs an obligate amount, and maybe you're killing off some of the bad bugs in there. That could be another part of some of the weight loss that you see when you do these fasts. Any other panelists want to chime in? All right, Desiree, thank you for your question. Yes, ma'am. Good luck to you. All right, you guys, you're in Keto for the Soul. Click on that little greenhouse at the very top. Subscribe to this room. We are talking about 7-day water fasting, and we're on day number 4. And so, yeah, most of us up here have done lots of water fasting, and we're trying to impart some knowledge on you. Very grateful for Dax, Dr. Caitlin, Dr. Rebecca, and Lindsey being up here to offer up their expertise. Definitely hit the hand if you have a question about extended fasting, specifically like day 4, because we're all in the party mode of extended fasting right now, because we've been dying to get to this point in the fast, and here we are, rocking it like a hurricane. Shan, welcome back. What you got for us? Shan.
Hey, how are you?
There you are. Hey.
Hey, Jimmy. I had a question about, I forgot who was saying follow the lunar when you're doing a fast.
Yeah.
If you don't have a cycle anymore, how do you get into that? How do you figure out
you're just following the lunar cycle. So you're going to look on a calendar, and you're going to see, okay, when is the new moon? When is the full moon? And then that's all you're doing. So from new moon to full moon is your follicular phase. And then from full moon to new moon, that's going to be your luteal phase. So that's all you're doing. Does that explain it a little better?
Yes, thank you.
That all you had for us, Shan?
That's all I got.
All right. Thank you, sweetie.
One day, I don't know when.
Well, take the plunge. That would be my recommendation. Don't delay, because the benefits don't happen till you begin.
Right. I've got to get this keto thing down, and then I'm going to jump on it.
Well, you do that. You get it done well, and you got lots of support up here. Definitely reach out to any of us. We'd be happy to help you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Shan. And again, guys, if you have any last questions, we're going to close the room if you don't. But any other thoughts about day 4? Dax, what you got for us?
Yeah, Jimmy, I was just going to mention a previous guest up on stage had mentioned about, actually it was Jennifer mentioning about the altitude. I did an extended fast without any thought, apparently, because I drove up with a friend up onto the Grand Mesa, which is an 11,000 foot mountain. And I drove up there, but he had to drive back because I actually passed out. I was on day 3, and about day 3.5, and I wanted to just go for a little walk in the woods, so we went up there. Got about 200 feet down a trail and just passed out. And the altitude was not my friend. He had to help me get back to the car, and then he had to drive back because the lack of oxygen is certainly not a good situation when you're fasting.
Or any time for that matter.
Right.
Dr. Caitlin, any words of advice for people that are on day 4?
Enjoy it. If you feel great on day 4, it means that you're fat adaptive, you're burning more fat, using the ketones. It's amazing. Now, if you're on day 4 and you're still struggling, it means that there's some other underlying issues that need to be addressed, whether it's toxicity, whether it's gut microbiome, whether it's you're not able to burn the fat just yet. It might be too much inflammation. So don't hesitate if you're feeling like absolute crap at any point to break the fast, but always know to come back to it. And then the other thing is, don't hesitate to reach out for support, because the more support we have, the better the results we get. So I love that you're doing this, Jimmy, because when people fast together, and have this tribe, this community, it makes it so much easier to get that end result that you're looking for. So there's no shame in asking for support, and there's no shame in breaking the fast early. Just know that you can do it and come back to it. because it's absolutely amazing what happens the more you do it.
Yeah, this surprised me when I did the first corporate fast 2 or 3 years ago online. I couldn't believe the feedback. I had 200 people live on an Instagram page wanting to like hear updates and find encouragement and tell each other stories. I'm like, wow, somebody's got to tap into that. There's some magic there. So I've been doing these pretty often. And when I saw Clubhouse come along, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to bring that to Clubhouse. And it's fun to have all you experts up here sharing the stage with me, helping to vocalize some of these concepts. Rebecca, what you got for encouragement for day 4?
I think one thing that I've had to kind of go internally with myself, because my personality is knowing to slow down.
Yes.
It's knowing to rest. And I think a lot of times when you're starting to feel the pain and maybe the discomfort and stuff like that, rather than trying to figure out how can I bypass this, like how can I go past the pain, thinking how can I work with it. So how can I allow and support my body? And most oftentimes it means slow down and lay down. I think it's different for each fast. The more you fast, the different you feel like you can handle it. But I mean, even yesterday for me, I was just there was a lot. I was running around office and kids, and I had to tell my husband, I was like, I'm done. Like, I need to rest. Like, I need to go to bed. And that's the earliest I go to bed is during a fast. So
yeah.
Just encouraging to slow down, and your body will also let you know it needs rest. It needs rest to heal. It needs rest to reset. And don't feel like you got to be this superhuman person and just keep going. Resting is part of the process as well.
That is such good advice. And especially in the early days of a fast, laying down, there's no shame in it, like you said, and especially when you're kind of lightheaded, that's your body giving you a clue. Hey, dummy, rest a little bit. Yeah, definitely helpful, and it does help you push through. Lindsey, what you got for words of wisdom?
I think with the longer fasts, what I notice, even within myself, are emotions that are revealed because my body isn't so busy. It actually has time to think, or in addition to the healing properties of fasting. But I think that goes to our emotions as well, or traumas in the past, or things that we have pushed aside. And I just want people to know that that's completely normal as well. Then sometimes we don't really want to go there. It's not comfortable. But that going there, this, as Rebecca had mentioned, it's a good time to slow down. It's also a good time to reflect. Sometimes for me, it's been as simple as my relationship with food. I won't feel the hunger, but mentally I'll want food. And I've had the opportunity to explore that in my relationship with food and some of the things I didn't want to think about, like maybe some of that is a little bit unhealthy, or the origination of where those thoughts or feelings are coming from. So just know that that's normal if that does come up, but day 4 is the best.
Yes.
So enjoy it. Thank you.
And Lindsey, you bring up such a good point with the emotional stuff. I mean, when you're just still and you have nothing else going on and your body's like, all right, what you got for me? Let's deal with some stuff. It does like trigger you a bit. And maybe that's why susceptibility to stress is even more heightened during that time as well. So mind your body, because your body's going through major changes at that point. I love that message, Lindsey. Ahmed, you came on the stage. What you got for us? Ahmed going once.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, thank you for the invaluable knowledge you guys are giving us, and it's great. I currently do intermittent fasting, which is like 18 hours, sometimes 17 hours, 16 hours. Eat within 6 hours of between 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock sometimes.
Yep.
But I wanted to ask information. Obviously, I'm Muslim, and once we do fast, which is abstaining from everything, water, food, and that's during the Ramadan month. So I was wondering, all of you are doctors or anything, what about, is there any benefit of the, obviously religious-wise, definitely it is benefit, but in terms of, for the human body, to abstain from water and the food for nearly like 18 hours or something like that.
For how many hours?
18 hours.
Oh, 18. Yeah, that's called dry fasting. In our book, The Complete Guide to Fasting, Caitlin, we were very against dry fasting. I think it can be dangerous, especially because of what you talked about earlier. That dehydration factor can be harmful. So that would be my only concern. Any of the panelists, Caitlin, go ahead and start.
Is there any scientific things that someone has done it, or from your experience or a paper or anything that you have looked at it? Because I've been doing this since the age of 15, and I've never had any problem.
So there actually is research, and if you go on PubMed, you can find it. And what they found with fasting for Ramadan, it does improve overall function, because if you think about it, it's only 18 hours where nothing is being consumed. So it really looks like an intermittent fast, and you're just not drinking water. And don't get me wrong, I'll do that sometimes when I get super, super busy. The only thing that you really should be aware of is, how do you feel when you're doing it? If you feel really good, then there's no problem, especially since as soon as the sun goes down, right?
Yes.
You're able to rehydrate, use the salts, eat food. So there is actually a lot of really good research supporting that style of fast. But in my opinion, people with a lot of metabolic issues, a lot of metabolic disorders, they're going to struggle with it. But if you feel good, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's just only at the beginning of the first 3 days, so you will have a problem. But after that, you acclimatize and it will be easy.
So how long have you done that? You said since you were a teenager. How many years?
I'm now 45, so...
Okay, 30 years. Good job.
Yeah.
That's hardcore, dude. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. And again, great room. And I hope you may continue this stuff.
Thank you, Ahmed. Yeah, there's lots of fasting rooms. I've seen them lately. I started talking about my fast, and fasting for women. Oh, we had Dr. Fung on earlier. Oh, there's so many fasting people out there. So definitely, if you're interested in this subject, there's plenty of rooms here on Clubhouse to get your knowledge. But thank you, panel, Dax, Dr. Caitlin, Dr. Rebecca, Lindsey. Thank you all for sharing from your knowledge here today. And definitely go follow Keto for the Soul, you guys. Click on that little green house at the very top. And you can subscribe to this room. This is where I hang out all day. I love this place, and lots of great rooms all day long. Definitely go follow everybody up on the stage. And yeah, we'll be back again at 1:30 p.m. Eastern time the rest of this week. So tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday, we will be here over the weekend. And would love to have all the panelists who can arrive at that time over the weekend to join us as well. But thank you guys for being here. Thank you for all your insightful questions. Keep up the good work with your fast. Day 4. Pump up the volume, pump up the volume. We're all full of energy here today, and I hope you keep your energy up too. We'll see you around the clubhouse.